people forget that we had a very big recession in 2008. You know, and here we are 2015, and the labor market really has not recovered yet, but it is recovering. I mean, Walmart just announced that they were gonna, raise the wages of their workers when they are a low-cost operation. I mean, their whole business model is do it cheaper, and they are gonna raise wages. And that is the canary that's telling you that the labor market is tightening. And so it's taken us forever to get out of this recession, but we are coming out and the labor market is recovering and there is an increase in demand for workers, and that will put upward pressure on wages.
Scott?
So I guess on this one I'm a little more pessimistic, because I actually think that going back, if you look at the data, go back to about 2000, you see a big bifurcation in the labor market between young and small companies and large and older companies. And what used to happen is that the wage growth and benefits and everything tended to align between the two groups. And at about 2000, you saw a shift. So what we've had, if you take the numbers apart, wage growth is rising, benefits are rising in large and more established businesses. Where there isn't wage growth is in the smaller and newer businesses. And we actually see in real terms wages dropping. And part of the reason is that the big shift is that small and young businesses are not hiring employees for their operations the way they used to. There's a big movement towards contract labor among the small businesses. And I think that as long as we're seeing small businesses operating under a different model, that's keeping the overall average wage growth and benefit growth down. But we've seen this bifurcation. What's confusing and difficult to understand is it's not just the result of recession. It predates the recession, so it seems like a longer-term trend, largely driven by a lot more entrepreneurial activity in the absence of needing to hire, or hiring far fewer people than businesses in the past would have hired.
I actually think there's a statistical aberration in your assumption that real wages haven't grown. I spent some time reading economists' research papers on comparing the 60s to the late 90s. And one of the observations was that because this country brings in 4 to 6 million legal immigrants a year and 4 to 8 illegal or non-documented immigrants every year, you know, we tend to really expand the workforce. As a child of immigrants, I know what that's like. The thing is that a lot of the immigrants, unlike the occasional burst of doctors from former Soviet bloc countries, most of the immigrants are lower skilled. And they move into either creating small businesses, in my family's case, a lot of small restaurants, or if they're, depending on where they are, cleaners or other small businesses. When the economists separated out people who were born in the US versus immigrants, real wage growth has been happening. And the gap between the bottom 20% and the top 20% of the wage earners has actually decreased over those from the 60s to the 90s. So one of the things I think that complicates the notion of real wage growth, if you take an overall average, is I don't think it correctly accounts for small businesses, and the fact that the small businesses very often are the engine of opportunity. That a lot of people are coming because they can start that way, not that they'll end up that way.
I want to mention that wage growth is very strongly correlated with productivity. In the Weatherhead School, we cannot raise people's salaries, but we can make people more productive. And by learning more tools, providing more, being more effective in the operations that your employer wants you to do, will increase the company profits. Your engagements will make you more important to the company, and therefore your wage could increase. And this is actually what we are finding for most of our students.